Every single day, thousands of people suffer a stroke. And while most of us assume it's something that happens only to those with high blood pressure, heart problems, or old age, the truth is far more unsettling. Because what if I told you that there is a silent trigger, something millions of people do daily, regardless of age, that can quietly increase your stroke risk without warning, and no one talks about it? It's not your age, it's not your genetics, and it's not a disease waiting to happen. It's something you might have done this morning without a second thought. And that's exactly what led to what happened to George. George was 67, retired, healthy, and active. No signs of illness. He went for walks every afternoon, didn't smoke, ate clean. And yet, on a calm Tuesday morning, as he got up from bed and walked into the kitchen, he collapsed to the floor. A stroke. The doctors were confused. His numbers looked normal, no signs of warning in the weeks prior. But then his wife mentioned something, just a little detail from that morning routine, and that one detail changed everything. Now, in this video, I'm going to uncover 5 everyday habits just like that. Habits that appear harmless, but are quietly triggering strokes in people across America every single day, no matter your age. And in particular, the 5th one is so common that most seniors do it automatically without realizing the damage it's doing. If you miss that one, you may never know you were just a few steps away from a preventable stroke, so stay with me until the end. Don't skip, and please, if you're over 60 or have loved ones in that age range, make sure you hear every word of this. It could save a life, maybe even your own. Also, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, because every week we're revealing facts that aren't just helpful, they're life-saving. Miss a video, and you could miss the one thing your body desperately needs to stay healthy and strong. Let's get into the first hidden stroke trigger you might be doing every morning without knowing. It's early morning. You've just opened your eyes. You walk into the kitchen, reach for a glass, and pour yourself a tall drink of cold water. Sounds harmless, right? But for older adults, this simple act can quietly become a serious risk, especially when done first thing in the morning, on an empty stomach, and before the body has properly adjusted to being awake. Here's what most people don't know. When you wake up, your blood vessels are still slightly constricted. Your body is in a transition state, moving from rest to activity. Drinking cold water at this point causes a sudden temperature shock inside your digestive tract. This reflex can trigger a rapid narrowing of blood vessels throughout the body, especially in the brain and neck. For someone under 30, this might just mean a little chill, but for someone in their 60s or beyond, with aging arteries that are already less flexible, and perhaps a touch of hypertension in the background, that sudden constriction can dramatically reduce blood flow to the brain, just enough to tip you over the edge. That's why some people feel lightheaded or dizzy when they drink cold water too fast in the morning. But what's even more dangerous is that many don't feel a thing until the day it becomes a stroke. Now, here's the story that brings it all into focus. George's wife mentioned that every single morning, without fail, he drank a glass of ice water right after waking up. He believed it was good for his digestion. He'd been doing it for years, but his doctor said that, combined with his early morning drop in blood pressure and vascular sensitivity, that cold water may have been the final trigger. Is it the only cause? No. But could it have been the tipping point? Absolutely. The good news is this: there's a better way. If you want to hydrate in the morning, which is smart, choose lukewarm water instead. Not hot, not cold, just neutral. It helps wake up your organs gently, supports circulation, and prevents sudden vascular constriction. It might seem like a small change, but small changes like this, when done daily, can literally add years of healthy living to your life. And by the way, if you find this helpful so far, go ahead and hit the like button. It tells YouTube this is content worth sharing, and it helps more people, maybe even someone in your own family, avoid a silent, preventable stroke. Now, you've just heard the first hidden habit. But the second one, it's something even more common. And most seniors do it within 30 seconds of waking up. And it's far more dangerous than you'd think. Let's move on. Have you ever woken up, tossed your blanket aside, and jumped out of bed to start your day? It feels like the right thing to do. You're alert, you're ready, you don't want to waste time. But for older adults, that one fast motion, going from lying down to standing upright, can quietly trigger something called postural hypotension. It's a sudden drop in blood pressure that happens when your body doesn't have enough time to adjust. And that drop can be more than just uncomfortable. For some, it can cause a stroke. Let me explain. When you're lying down all night, your blood is evenly distributed. But the moment you stand up quickly, gravity pulls blood toward your legs. If your blood vessels and heart don't respond quickly enough, which happens more often with age, your brain can suddenly be deprived of oxygen for a few seconds. That's when people feel dizzy, their vision goes dark, or they need to hold on to something just to stay upright. But here's the more dangerous version. Some people feel nothing. No dizziness, no warning. Their body adjusts just enough to stay conscious, but not enough to protect the brain. That drop in oxygen can trigger a mini-stroke without symptoms. And over time, those silent strokes can accumulate, leading to memory loss, balance issues, and eventually, a major stroke. Let me take you back to George. His wife remembered how, on the morning of his stroke, he got out of bed unusually fast. No stretching, no pause, just stood up, walked 5 steps, and collapsed. The truth is, standing up quickly seems harmless, until the day it's not. So, what can you do? Simple. When you wake up, don't rush. Take 30 to 60 seconds to sit up in bed. Let your legs dangle. Breathe deeply. Then stand slowly with intention. This gives your body time to adjust your blood pressure and protect your brain. This may sound small, but to your blood vessels and heart, it's a big deal. And don't forget, each of these hidden triggers we're uncovering today is part of a bigger picture. The habits we repeat daily can either build us up or silently tear us down. If you're still with me, I want to say thank you. You're doing something powerful just by learning. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because in the next part, I'll share the third hidden habit. And this one is shocking, because it's a food millions of people eat every morning, thinking it's healthy. But it's actually feeding the very condition that causes strokes. Let's keep going. Every morning across America, millions of people sit down to a breakfast they believe is good for their heart, their blood sugar, and their overall health. A bowl of flavored oatmeal, a banana, a glass of orange juice, maybe even a low-fat yogurt on the side. It looks clean. It feels light, and it's exactly the kind of breakfast that's been marketed for decades as heart-healthy. But here's the problem. That meal. It's a sugar bomb in disguise. And for people over 60, starting the day this way can set off a dangerous chain reaction inside the body, one that silently increases your risk of stroke. Let's break it down. First, that flavored oatmeal. It can have as much sugar as a candy bar. Banana, naturally sweet, but still causes a fast spike in blood sugar. Orange juice. One glass can have more sugar than a can of soda. And low-fat yogurt, often packed with hidden sweeteners to replace the missing fat. The result? A rapid rise in blood glucose, followed by a surge in insulin. But here's where things get risky. That spike is usually followed by a crash. When blood sugar drops suddenly, it can cause a stress response, raising your heart rate, tightening blood vessels, and putting pressure on your brain's circulation. For some people, this means a headache or fatigue. For others, especially those with narrowed arteries or early signs of insulin resistance, it can become the perfect storm that triggers a stroke. George's doctor mentioned this exact pattern. He had blood work showing prediabetes, nothing alarming. But every morning, he started his day with instant oatmeal, orange juice, and fruit. He thought he was doing the right thing. No fried food, no heavy meats. But the blood sugar roller coaster he created each morning was quietly damaging the inner lining of his blood vessels, day after day. Over time, that damage adds up. So what's the better choice? Start your morning with protein and healthy fat. Think eggs, Greek yogurt with no added sugar, a handful of walnuts, even a piece of salmon if you're up for it. Add fiber from vegetables or chia seeds instead of sugary carbs. When you stabilize your blood sugar in the morning, you stabilize your brain's blood flow all day long, and that's one of the strongest defenses you can build against stroke. Now, I want to ask you something important. Have you ever eaten this kind of breakfast, thinking it was healthy? You're not alone. Leave a comment below if you've done it, because awareness is the first step to changing. And if you haven't yet subscribed, do it now, because what I'm about to reveal next, the fourth stroke trigger, is something you may be taking right now from your medicine cabinet without ever knowing it could be putting your brain at risk. Let's move into that next. In almost every home in America, there's a drawer or cabinet filled with pain relievers, headaches, back pain, sore knees, a long day of walking. You reach for relief, and there it is. A bottle of non-prescription pills that promises to take the pain away quickly. But here's what most people don't realize. One specific class of over-the-counter medications, NSAIDs, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, can silently increase your risk of stroke, especially when used frequently or incorrectly. These include pills like ibuprofen, naproxen, and even some that are marketed under brand names with the word safe or gentle in the label. Now, don't get me wrong, these medications have their place. When used occasionally, and with proper guidance, they can be helpful. But for older adults, the picture changes. As we age, our blood vessels become more fragile. Our kidneys process medications more slowly, and the delicate balance of blood pressure regulation becomes easier to disrupt. NSAIDs, even in small doses, can raise blood pressure. They can reduce kidney function. And more importantly, they can interfere with how blood flows to the brain. It's especially dangerous when they're taken on an empty stomach, or alongside other medications that affect circulation. In George's case, after his stroke, his family discovered that he had been taking a common over-the-counter anti-inflammatory every morning for his arthritis, without ever telling his doctor. He didn't think it mattered. It was just an aspirin substitute, he'd say. But day after day, that seemingly harmless habit may have been adding invisible pressure to his already strained blood vessels. Now, I want to make something clear. This isn't about scaring you away from medicine. It's about awareness. If you take NSAIDs regularly, or if you're not sure whether something you're using falls into that category, talk to your doctor. Ask if it's still right for you. There may be safer alternatives, especially if you're managing blood pressure, kidney health, or stroke risk. And here's the key. Don't self-medicate in silence. That's where the real danger begins. If this is something new you've learned today, leave a comment. It might help someone else reading it realize they're not alone. And if someone you care about takes these medications daily, this might be the video they need to see. If you're still watching, I want to thank you for taking your health seriously. Because what's coming next, the fifth and final stroke trigger, is something almost every senior does. Not once a day, but dozens of times. And no one thinks it's dangerous. But it may be the one habit doing the most damage over time. Let's go there next. It sounds strange, doesn't it? How could something as ordinary as checking your phone after waking up increase your risk of stroke? But here's the truth. The way you use your phone, especially in the first hour of your morning, could be quietly putting pressure on your brain in ways most people never consider. Let's walk through it. Imagine this. You wake up, grab your phone from the nightstand, and immediately start scrolling. Emails, news, weather, maybe a few messages. You're still lying in bed. Or maybe you're sitting with your neck bent forward, shoulders slouched, eyes locked in. It feels harmless. But that posture, the head tilted forward, the neck compressed, shoulders tight, is exactly what restricts healthy blood flow to the brain, especially in older adults. This position compresses the carotid arteries, which are the main highways delivering blood from your heart to your brain. Over time, this repeated pressure can cause many reductions in circulation. It can also lead to stiff neck muscles, increased tension, and even dizziness or visual disturbances. For someone under 30, the body usually compensates. But over 60, your vessels are narrower, your circulation is slower, and your nerves are more sensitive to changes in oxygen. And what makes this so dangerous is how often it happens. Not once a week, not once a day, but dozens of times every time you check your phone in bed or hunch over a screen at the table or bend your head down without support. George had a habit, one he never talked about. He'd wake up, check the news on his phone, and sit for 20 minutes with his head bowed, reading in silence. His family didn't notice. He never thought it mattered. But over time, that repeated posture may have contributed to the vascular stress that eventually broke his system down. So, what can you do? Start by changing how you use your devices. Hold your phone at eye level. Support your arms with a pillow or table. Sit up straight with your back against a chair. And most importantly, wait at least 15 to 30 minutes after waking before engaging with screens. Give your brain time to adjust to the day before demanding attention and focus. This is about protecting circulation, about preserving clarity, balance, and long-term cognitive strength. It may sound like a small adjustment, But that's the theme here, isn't it? These aren't major lifestyle overhauls. They're small, hidden choices you make every day, and they add up, either toward risk or resilience. And if you're still here, you've already shown that you care. You're the kind of a person who takes responsibility for your health, and I respect that deeply. In just a moment, I'll walk you through all 5 stroke triggers we covered today, and give you a simple checklist you can start using right away. But before we get to that, I need to ask you something important. If this video has helped you even a little, please take a second to subscribe to this channel, because the next video we're preparing will reveal 3 foods that are promoted as heart-healthy, but may actually harden your arteries over time. And if you miss that video, you might keep eating those foods, thinking they're helping, when they're slowly putting your brain and heart at risk. Let's go to the final recap. Let's take a moment to go back and review what you've just learned, because understanding is good, but remembering is powerful. First, we uncovered the danger of cold water on an empty stomach. Then, we looked at what happens when you stand up too fast in the morning. We revealed the truth about the so-called healthy breakfast that can spike your risk. We talked about the everyday pill that might quietly strain your brain. And finally, we exposed the one habit nearly all of us do, hunched over a phone, that silently cuts off circulation where it matters most. None of these things are dramatic. None of them feel life-threatening in the moment. But stroke isn't always loud. Sometimes it starts with the quiet habits we overlook, the things we repeat every single day without ever questioning them. And the good news is this. Now you know. Now you have the power to make different choices. Not by fear, but by awareness. Not by doing everything perfectly, but by doing a few simple things better. Start tomorrow. Wake up gently. Drink warm water. Sit before you stand. Choose a smarter breakfast. Ask about your medications. And lift your phone, not your stress. These are small shifts that build a life of strength, independence, and clarity, no matter your age. And if there's someone you care about, maybe a parent, a neighbor, or a friend who might be doing these things without knowing the risk, send this video to them. It might be the warning they didn't know they needed. Finally, if you found this video helpful, make sure you've hit the subscribe button, because every week we're digging deeper into the truth about health after 60. What works, what doesn't, and what no one else is telling you. The next video will uncover the 3 everyday foods that are hardening your arteries, and how to replace them before it's too late. If you miss it, you might keep eating the wrong things without even knowing. Stay informed, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for being here.